So just to highlight and show a contrast between the Somalia of the past and that of today, Somalia is making significant gains in the war against the terrorist group Al-Shabaab. On the other hand, Somalia is making significant gains in finalizing the deadlift program and finalizing the HIPC initiative. In that sense, our president and the prime minister often talk about two scenarios that the minister Bek has alluded to. It's called post-Al-Shabaab and post-HIPC scenario. It is a scenario that puts much more demands and pressure on the government. We must be better prepared. So I have spoken to my Somali folks about the things that we need to do on our part, starting with the need to increase significantly our revenue generation capabilities. The role of a government is to utilize legitimate force, govern its landscape, and ensure that there is some sort of equitable distribution of resources and people's rights are protected, both the haves and the have-nots. That's what governments do. So on our side, we are making efforts to increase our tax base, our revenue, control expenditure, enhance good governance, transparency. That is the responsibilities that we as Somalis at the various levels of government must live up to. And that's what our people expect of us. The African Union has something called the 2063 Agenda. It has political, economic, and social goals. Akin to that principles, I think our president has identified something called 2060 goals. So how do we want to see ourselves when we reach 100 years of existence as a state? Factoring in 30 years of failure. It is that kind of objectives that we have that compel us to focus on how do we better utilize our development aid and assistance. We do not take it for granted that even after 30 years, our partners would continue to support us if we do not fix our ways. The world is changing, and Somalia must adapt to that change. From Ukraine to Sudan, there are other emerging pressing issues and conflicts that need the attention of the international community. So we aspire to be a contributing member to world peace and whatnot once we fix our security problems and improve our government. So we have both long-term objectives and immediate objectives. In the immediate sense, we took quite a while to recalibrate the mechanisms on which we engage our international partners. One of them, overall aid architecture, is the development forum. There are a few areas that I would like to highlight, not getting into the technicalities of it. We are fully cognizant, despite our very ambitious dreams to transform our state and society, of the tremendous challenge that faces us. We are not oblivious to the fact that almost half of our population has been constantly subject to droughts and vulnerabilities. We are fully aware that through the efforts of our international partners and the mercy of God, now that we have rain, we were able to avert famine. We were even cognizant of the fact that in the 90s, when the protocols and the tools for determining whether a scenario or a situation is one of famine were developed in this very country. We are very aware of our history and our current situation, and we have clear objectives, despite capacity gaps. We are aware that we must increase the reach of our government institutions and the capacity in various areas, from civil service to bureaucracy to intergovernmental relations. We are aware that climate change, a very unforgiving reality in today's world, affects us disproportionately. A Somali who has been herding his camels or goats, about 300 of them, could become a poor household in a matter of days. So the pride and the dignity we used to carry comes into question or is nullified through these harsh global realities that are unfolding in the world. We're aware that there are some societal and political issues that need to be handled with care to ensure that development is to be attained in a meaningful manner. So yes, we are very, very aware and considerate of our realities. But we want to optimally utilize the hard-earned support that we get from our international partners. I mean, we know it's just taxes that are gathered from your citizens that you invest in Somalia. We're hoping that in the security front, it is not subject for this forum, but if you don't fix security, we can talk about development. So we're hoping once we take over the responsibility of our security obligations, much of the burden would be gotten rid of in that front. We're hoping that the more efficient and streamlined processes that we'll put in place would ensure that your resources are spent in the most transparent and productive manner.